Hi there. Welcome back to the Kids Story Room. Today is a day for another beautiful story by Dale March. It's about a baby unicorn who has lost her way and is discovered by a herd of cows. Enjoy.
Cows and the Lost Unicorn. One day, in a land of rolling green hills, Farmer Chandra left her dairy farm for a holiday and, strangely, never came back. Perhaps she found a magic nacho tree deep in the Amazon jungle of Brazil, but that will have to be another story. The cows on Farmer Chandra's farm were quite lost for a while, wondering how they could get the hay and water they needed to stay healthy. In fact, things were quite disorganized for a time. The cows could never agree on how anything should be done or who should do it. It almost seemed like some cows decided they wanted the opposite thing to happen just so they could have an argument. For example, one time when Pinky, the young Frisian bull, suggested he could give everyone a soothing massage after they had pulled the plough for a shift, Lacey, the old brown Swiss, spread a rumour that massages make a cow weak and lazy, even though everyone knew she had loved massages all her life. There was only one thing the cows were able to agree upon. It was absolutely necessary to keep all the fences in tip-top shape so that they could keep out all the pesky horses who kept wandering in and stealing all their fresh grass. One clear sunny morning, the cows woke up to find yet another pesky horse had come into the farm and was grazing in one of the lower pastures. "I'll deal with this," said Pinky in a voice that meant business, and he clomped out of the barn feeling very grumpy and ready to give the horse a stiff talking to. But as he got closer, thinking about how angry he should be with this young horse, something stopped him in his tracks. In the morning sun, something was glistening just near the horse's ears. And as he got closer, Pinky realized that what he saw was a straight, spiky horn coming out from the horse's head. Pinky was so shocked he didn't know what to do. Without even noticing he had moved, he found himself running back into the barn, yelling at the top of his voice, "It's a unicorn! In the lower pasture! It's not a horse! It's a unicorn!" The cows burst into a chaos of noise. Some simply laughed at Pinky. "Oh dear, Pinky has lost his marbles." Others interrupted into heated arguments. "Unicorns don't exist. Let's not be ridiculous." "Of course they exist. They've existed for longer than any cow has been around. Don't talk about things you don't understand." Suddenly, a clear voice rang out. It was wise old Lacey. "There is only one way to settle this. I shall go and see for myself. If anyone dares come with me, you may." But everyone was quite happy for Lacey to go alone, so out she strode, tail swishing, toward the lower pasture. She never admitted this to anyone later, but when Lacey saw the unicorn, horn glittering in the morning sun, she almost fell over and rolled down the hill. Once she was sure it was a unicorn, she was struck by something even more alarming. This unicorn looked terribly frightened and still only little. It was just a baby. Lacey had secretly been worried that a unicorn might use some magic power on her and turn her into into a rat or a fly, or even worse, turn her into a horse. But now she could see that, if anything, this baby unicorn would probably be scared of her. A strange feeling came over Lacey, something she had never felt before in all her long years. It was the feeling of wonder. With gentle steps, Lacey approached the baby unicorn. "Hello there," said Lacey very calmly. "Who are you, and where have you come from?"
"Oh dear,"
said the baby unicorn in a great gush of words.
"I'm terribly lost. I've landed here in this field, and I need a rainbow to get home to the magic mountain in the sky beyond the clouds. But there are no clouds and no rain, so there can be no rainbow. And maybe I'll be stuck here forever and ever, and I don't even know where I am."
The poor unicorn began to sob, and where her tears hit the grass, it shone with colourful sparkles. Lacey didn't have the heart to tell the baby unicorn that it had been years since they had seen a rainbow on the farm. She also doubted very much that there was such a place called the Magic Mountain Beyond the Clouds. However, she could no longer doubt that unicorns existed, and there was one here that needed help. As a cold wind blew from the ocean, Lacey decided to invite the unicorn back to the barn to keep warm for the night.
"Oh, thank you,"
said the baby unicorn.
"You are a kind and generous creature. It would be wonderful to be warm through the night."
As you can imagine, the other cows in the barn could hardly believe their eyes when they saw Lacey walk in with a timid baby unicorn by her side. Without saying anything, someone collected fresh hay, another found a bowl for milk, and Pinky himself got out the wool blanket that Farmer Chandra had knitted one year when old Lacey was sick. The baby unicorn was wrapped and fed and cuddled, and she was soon happily asleep. All night, the cows lay awake watching the pink and purple breath of the baby unicorn glowing in the dark. They had never been so spellbound in all their lives. When morning came and the baby unicorn opened her eyes, the cows quickly closed theirs and pretended to be asleep. The baby unicorn crept outside for some fresh grass. When she saw the cloudless sky, she almost wept again.
"Oh, how can there ever be a rainbow without any clouds?"
she sighed. Later that day, as the cows milled around the field, trying not to stare at the baby unicorn, who was pooing out a rainbow-coloured poop that smelled like jasmine blossoms, everyone heard the rumble of distant galloping in the lower pasture. The baby unicorn stood upright and squinted into the afternoon sun. Before anyone could say a word, she had galloped out of sight. Deep in her heart, the baby unicorn was sure it must be someone who had come to look for her. As she leapt over the crest of the hill, she cried out with relief,
"Laura! Oh, Laura!"
It was her big sister.
"Thank you, thank you, thank you. You've come to save me. You've come to take me home to the magic mountain in the sky beyond the clouds."
"Oh, darling one," said her sister, "no, I'm lost here too, and my wings won't work, and I can't see a rainbow anywhere. How long have you been here, little one?" The baby unicorn told her big sister the whole story. That night, 2 unicorns stayed in the cow's barn. They were grateful to be warm, but very sad to be stuck in this strange land where their wings did not work and they could see no way of getting home. The cows hadn't lost their wonder and awe at having unicorns in their barn, but something else had changed. Old Lacey had noticed that there had been far less arguing these past 2 days. Time passed. Leaves turned red, and the ox-tongue flowers pushed through the dark soil. Although they still prayed for clouds and a rainbow, the unicorns grew quite fond of the cows' way of life. For the cows, it seemed that a new magical friendship was forming for everyone. There were no longer needless squabbles about who should clean out the poo and bring fresh hay in the morning, and even old Lacey had found herself suggesting to a few of the other cows that massages might be a good idea for the plough shifts after all. One late autumn morning, before light came into the sky, even before the rooster crowed, a braying was heard coming from far down the hills. It was a sound like gentle bells clanging behind a warm waterfall, and the unicorns sat up with glowing hearts. Everyone left the barn to look down over the fields. Even though it was still dark, they could see a glowing shape down in the lower pasture, with silver and gold sparkles fading into dust. The unicorns were out of sight in a flash of joy. Even before they were close enough to see her face, they knew it was their mother. The baby Uni was weeping with happiness, even before her mother cuddled her with her warm neck. All 3 unicorns cried great happy tears of hope, and as the cows came over the crest of the hill, they saw the most wonderful thing of all. As the tears of the unicorns melted together on the cool morning earth, a purple steam began to rise. The billows of steam grew as they rose into the sky and formed delicate clouds above the pasture. And just as the sun peeped over the hills for the new day, a fine mist of rain fell from the forming clouds. And perhaps you know what can happen when sunshine and rain dance together. A beautiful rainbow arched down from the clouds and touched the grass by the unicorn's hooves. The unicorns thanked the cows for all their help and generosity, and galloped up the rainbow back to their home on the magic mountain beyond the clouds. The cows? Well, they stood there, staring into the sky long after the unicorns, the rainbow, and even the cloud had disappeared. When they did finally look around at each other, they soon began to wonder if any of this had ever happened at all, or if it was just a strange and wonderful dream. But there was one thing that reassured them that the unicorns had once visited them. Old Lacey the Swiss Brown almost always agreed with Pinky's good ideas, and everyone was absolutely guaranteed a massage after working a plough shift.
Thanks so much for listening. We hope that you enjoyed The Cows and the Lost Unicorn. We're posting a little less than once a week at the moment, as some of you may have noticed, but we are trying to get the stories out there. So hang 10 and they'll come along. Wishing you all the best. Till next time, bye.